Noticeable hair thinning affects women of all ages, but by the time you're 50, up to 40% of women are struggling with this, and by 70, up to 55%.
My hair is naturally very thin and it's thinning on top. Like I've had hair loss over the last several years that I've been fighting, and so trying to get volume at the roots is a thing. I love it. That looks so good. It does. I still can't believe how much volume I've got at my roots. Like, that's crazy.
And as a professional hairstylist for over 30 years, I am well aware of how much of a problem it can be to get volume in thinning hair. I'm about to style Marlena's hair, and I'm going to walk you through the process and the tips and tricks that I know so that you at home can get massive amounts of volume in your hair too. We're going to walk through the drying process, okay? I'm going to see what you do, and then I'm going to show you if there's anywhere that we can improve on that, or there might be some very small things that you're doing that don't seem like a big deal, but when you add them all together collectively, they become a problem, is why you're not getting the volume that you want. It may be down to the product you use and or the amount of the product or the placement of the product that you're using. Okay. So we'll walk through that process. Okay, so now that we're ready to dry her hair, the thing that we want to think about is we've already added oil to your hair, right? Mm-hmm. And that was just to give it a little bit of smoothness and to kind of protect a little bit from the humidity and give it a little bit of shine. That was from mid-shaft to the ends. Heads up, if you want to know what products I'm using, I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and link all of those in the description so that you can find them easily. But the next thing we want to do is we want to add a little bit of a leave-in conditioner. So I'm going to spray this through. This I'm going to spray from mid-shaft all the way through end. So we're just going to spray this through, and then I'm just going to kind of work it through with my hands. Now you could take a big brush and brush this through your hair as well. It's totally up to you. We just want to get good distribution, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a volumizer, and this is going to be roots through the ends as well.
Okay.
You've already got extensions down here, so we've got a lot of fullness down here.
Yeah.
So I don't want to add more fullness down there, because the more fullness I get down there, the bigger this has to get to make it look like there's more volume. It's an optical illusion. We're trying to elongate your face a little bit, like we talked about before in the cutting. And so to do that, it means I want to create less volume here and a little bit more volume up here to help elongate. That's going to offset any width, right? The more fullness I have in here, the more width we're going to get. So with that said, I'm going to spray this up at the roots and then the mid shaft and the ends up here, and I'm not going to put it. So basically your extensions run from right here all the way back. Everything below this, where your extensions are, I'm not going to actually apply this at the root. Okay. I might spray a little bit just the mid shaft to the ends, but really that is simply to get a little bit of control out of that bend on the bottom so it has some shape. Okay. So up here, I'm going to really work this through. I'm going to concentrate at the roots where I really want to know that I'm going to get volume. And then I'll just spray a little bit mid shaft to the ends down here. Not dramatic, but just a little bit to give me a little bit of control. All of this top stuff we're going to comb through. Okay. Now, you can use any brush. If you use like a wet brush, those are great. I use a volumizer brush. It helps to kind of get the hair up off the scalp. It helps to get a little bit more volume. So now we're going to dry your hair. I'm not trying to get it pretty. I'm just trying to get it dry. Okay. So at home, I'm going to give this to you. What would you normally do? You take the blow dryer. Mm-hmm. What do you normally do?
I usually start by just kind of trying to get the back of my hair dry. Okay. Especially where the extensions are, because it can get a little funky back there if it's not fully dry.
Gotcha. But the one thing that we want to do then, if you're going to let it dry first like that, then we got to pay attention to what's going on with these roots right here. Okay. And that means that if you're going to let these take a second before you dry them, we actually want to comb those forward.
Oh, okay.
So if you can just get the roots moving forward, because we know we're going to bring them back and over. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is we're going to comb this forward. Okay. And then you're just going to kind of get it out of your face, bring it off to the side a little bit. Okay. Okay. So it's not driving you crazy. Okay. But that way, this is starting to dry with those roots moving forward. So we're going to get a little bit lift. If this is combed back or combed straight down while you're drying this is drying. And as that's drying, those roots are doing whatever they have been shown to do, which is lay flat against your head. Yeah. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then we'll dry those in the same way. We'll dry them all forward, or you could tilt upside down at home if that's easier. Whatever's easy for you, okay?
Okay, so forward.
But yes, forward against. Whatever way you're going to naturally let them part, which for you is going to be on the side, over to the side. Whatever way that's going to happen, the opposite direction is how we want to start drying those, or how we want to let them dry. Okay. That's going to give us a little bit of root lift, which is going to be part of the foundation for volume. But then when we use the round brush, we're going to get the bend, and that's what seals it in. That's what really creates the volume. So you're putting the foundation for your house, then we're going to build the walls and add the roof. Real quick, if you're loving this video, if you're getting some value out of it, do me the big favor, subscribe. More importantly, if you really love it, share it. It's a huge help to me and helps out whoever you share it with, hopefully. Okay, so now that we've got your hair round brushed at the bottom, okay, so we round brushed everything down here. Now we're gonna dry this. We still have a little bit of dampness here, okay, which is a good thing. That's what we want. Now I'm gonna give you this because I actually want to see how you typically round brush your hair. Okay.
It's really large. This is a very. I hope I don't smack my face off with this one.
So this is a really good point. Why do you use a smaller brush?
I think because I feel like I don't have as much control with a smaller brush. I feel like I can really get into the roots to try to lift it.
Okay, good point. So where were you? Grab that section again.
Okay.
Feel where that is on your hair.
Okay.
You only want so much root lift anyway. And you're only going to get so much root lift.
Okay.
So that's getting enough. So what creates root lift is not necessarily the brush being smaller. What the brush being smaller is going to do is create more curl. Curl doesn't create necessarily volume.
Okay.
Wave and curl doesn't inherently have a certain amount of volume.
Okay.
But when you're trying to straighten your hair out, too much wave actually, or curl, that's kind of like that curl at the ends, that doesn't give you volume. A good C-shaped bend will give you volume.
Okay.
If you get this really big, like crazy big and out, that means that all of this has to also be that big or larger to make the shape look balanced.
Yeah.
Right? So this is going to give you more than enough root lift. But the other way you're going to get root lift is by taking this. Now, if you took this and you pulled it down and then you round brush, now you're flattening out the roots. Doesn't matter how big or small your round brush is. That's what's going to cause you to flatten the roots out.
Okay.
But if you take this brush and you lift it up, these roots are now faced up away from your scalp. Okay. And by doing that, now we're creating more volume, or we're creating more root lift.
Okay.
But so I'm gonna give this back to you. I'm gonna have you put it back in your hands.
Okay.
And then kind of just do that section like you would typically do it. Yeah. I'm sorry, that sounded so rude. I didn't mean that. Okay, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Okay, I'm so glad you did this. So what you just did there, I'm gonna have you hold it back, but don't turn it on.
Okay.
Okay, so when you put that in the brush, what you're doing right here is two things. One, by blowing that air up this hair shaft like this, it's actually creating more frizz. Okay? So you're blowing against the cuticle, you're not smoothing it down. What we want to do, and this is why for a lot of people round brushing is uncomfortable, okay? You're gonna raise your elbow up here, okay? And what we're gonna try to focus on is bringing this, we're using this modifier right here specifically to span the width of the brush so that we control where that air is going, okay? So this is gonna send a lot more air just kind of going everywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas this is going to modify where that air is going, and it's gonna give us more control over it.
Okay.
Now what we need to do is we wanna focus on getting this air over here and down the hair shaft. To show you this, fold your hand, okay, and I'm gonna put it like this, as if you were to actually just directly impact the hair with the heat. Hold it as long as you can.
Oh.
See how hot that gets?
That's hot.
Now hold your hair flat. This is if I were to round brush, blow it down the hair shaft, okay? If I do this, you can still feel the heat, but
Yeah.
you see how much easier that is? So that's the amount of heat that your hair is taking. That is straight up, and that is down the hair shaft, okay? So that's why it seems like it's maybe not that important, but it's dramatically important. It makes a huge difference. Put this section. I'm gonna comb through it to comb all the tangles out first.
Okay.
Yeah? And then I'm going to put this down the hair shaft, and I'm gonna continuously move this, okay? This is why the brush is so important. You need to have a tension. So can you feel that on your hair? Okay, I'm not pulling your head,
No.
right? But there's tension there.
Yeah.
So this is why you feel like you get more control out of a smaller brush, because it gives you that tension. A good brush, even at this size, is still gonna give you that tension, but it's also gonna create a much better overall C at a hair length that's your length,
Okay.
with layers this long. If you're going short, like a banger, then we wanna start moving into shorter or smaller round brushes.
Okay.
But this is the exact size round brush I would go at this length of hair.
Okay.
And even into like a longer lob bob shape, I would still use the same size brush.
Okay.
Just doing this. So I'm pulling it, and then I'm really going over those ends. So this is why at this point the roots should basically already be dry, okay?
Okay.
So that really what you're doing is you're just adding that C shape to the mid shaft and the ends. And then when you let that come in, see, that's giving us a C. Now, before I mentioned we don't want a length that comes right in at your chin. And right now this is exactly what this is doing. Even though we don't want it to wear into the chin, we're gonna style it into the chin. And then it's gonna allow me to have the bend that if I wanna bring it back off of the face, I can bring it back off the face, not a problem.
Okay.
For the bangs, you're gonna style them this way. That's what you want them to lay.
Yes.
That's not how we're gonna style. I'm actually going to bring them basically down and kind of this way. So I'm gonna bring them away from the way that you wanna style them. By doing that, I'm gonna get a little bit of bend in it, but it's gonna give me the ability to control it, to get it to go the other way. So you remember how you said that you get that flat part? Okay, the flatness a lot of times is created by where the root is being directed, not the round brush. This is a very large brush to use on something that length. Still gonna get us bend, no problem. Even though we're going this way, to get that little bit of extra bend, I'm gonna take it this way.
Okay.
And I'm lifting it up. I'm not pointing it down. Okay, I'm lifting it up. Now, this is awkward at home. So what you do at home is you tilt forward, if you can, a little bit like this, and you just lift that up. You just try to concentrate on bringing the brush away from your scalp. Okay. Into this. Now, just because it's the opposite of the way you want to work, doesn't mean I'm not gonna be able to get it to go this way, not a problem, okay? So I'm gonna still be able to take this, get a little bit of lift in there and bring it off to this side, but it's gonna give us a little bit more bend and control. I'm gonna give you this side, the side that you're not as comfortable with.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna have you do this section right here.
Okay, so I come up here like this.
Okay, yeah, so we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna try to bring it as much like this as you can.
Okay.
And then you're gonna move this through, and
Okay.
then turn your fingers to bring it back. There you go, bring it back like this. Perfect. And it's gonna be one, there you go, back. There you go. It's all moving as one unit, basically.
Okay.
Did you get the feel of that though?
I do.
So what you're trying to do, people think of a round brush and a glitter as two separate entities, right? But you're gonna use them as one. So you're gonna put it in, and then once you get that hand up in there, you're gonna use that as basically, it's just one big unit.
Okay.
So you just kind of try to move them at the same time.
So I pull it out, roll it back, pull it out, roll it back.
So we'll get the rest of this finished, and then we'll show you actually what it looks like.
Okay.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. Now, if you want to learn more, there's tons of styling tricks right here in this video, so go over there and I will see you there. Otherwise, don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, all the good stuff. I'll see you in the next video next week. It's going to be a good one.